Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and here we are, the final video of 2024, the top 10 best movies of the year. If you guys missed the last video, or if you haven't seen the other best and worst lists from the previous years, be sure to give those a watch. But like I said, this is not the definitive best and worst movies of the year. Your list may be different from my list. Feel free to leave your list down in the comments. I always love going through reading them. I didn't get a chance to see everything that came out this year, so if you have any recommendations or think anything is missing from either of these lists, let me know that stuff down below as well. And as always, for both of these lists, I like to provide an honorable mention so that it's basically an unofficial top 11 list. So the honorable mention for best movie of 2024 is Kneecap. I was honestly worried that this movie would fly under the radar, but the fact that it's on the Oscar shortlist is a really good sign. This was a very fun, interesting, visually striking movie. It's very over the top and explicit, but at the forefront, it's an important message about preserving culture. And for three guys who've never acted before, the members of the band Kneecap actually do really well. Definitely recommend this one. Alright, with all that out of the way, here we go. The top 10 best movies of 2024. Saturday night. Kicking off the list, we have a movie detailing one of the most chaotic and historic nights in live television. And it absolutely lives up to that description. I'm not an SNL purist, so I'm not going to speak on how accurate any of this is. There are plenty of videos who have done that already. But as a loose retelling, as well as just a general comedy, this movie was a great sit. The cinematography and editing do well to convey the chaos and claustrophobia of a stressful TV studio. All the little side stories are hilarious and interesting. All the actors are great and embody their characters pretty perfectly. And overall, it was just a well-made, chaotic watch for both SNL fans and casual audiences alike. Anora. This was just so mesmerizing, I struggle to think of what to even say about it, other than I really gotta watch this director's other stuff. Anora is definitely a roller coaster, to say the least. It elicits several emotions, and all of them come naturally and effectively. Each act of the film feels like a separate movie, and it all flows surprisingly well. The first act is kind of a coming-of-age Cinderella story. The second act is like a screwball comedy. And the third act is a drama. Everything about these characters and their situation is captivating, entertaining, and very tragic. The cinematography is great, the acting is amazing. It definitely won't be a movie for everyone, but I had a good time with it. Wicked. It's honestly impressive how good this movie was. I wasn't well versed with the stage show, but even still, the trailers were not giving me a lot of confidence. So coming out of it, while it definitely had its issues, it was much better than I thought it would be. The sets looked beautiful, the cinematography was really well done, the songs for the most part all hit. The acting was all top-notch, and it was just overall a fun, lively experience. I don't think it needed to be 2 parts, and there's definitely stuff that could have been cut, but honestly, I was just enjoying it too much for any of that to really sway me. I really hope part 2 delivers a satisfying ending, because part 1 didn't just defy gravity, it defied expectations. Heretic. I went to Catholic school for 9 years, and this was the scariest religious lecture I've sat for. Heretic will definitely not please everyone. Some of the ways it preaches its philosophies could come across as narrow-minded and cynical, and from a narrative angle, there are some things about it, particularly in the final act, that don't really work. But honestly, the pros heavily outweigh the cons for me. I like the overall concept of a guy challenging these girls' faith, and I like that they challenge his outlook right back so that it's not one-sided. I like that the two girls weren't completely clueless and do manage to outsmart him a few times, but that not everything comes to them easily. The house that they're trapped in is absolutely gorgeous and the cinematography is amazing, but the thing that carries this movie the most are the performances. Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East are great, but the scene stealer is easily Hugh Grant. His charm and charisma we know him for is perfectly disarming for the twisted evil that comes out for the rest of the film. I'm glad he's getting some awards buzz, and at the moment he's one of my top top choices to win. Like I said, not everything about the movie works, but it was the right amount of tense and engaging for me to recommend it. I'm not gonna sit here and say this movie is perfect, because it absolutely isn't. The plot falls apart the second you stop to think about it. They completely waste the supporting cast of the previous Deadpool movies. Some of the humor is pretty hit or miss, and at face value, it does rely on the same nostalgia cameo bait that's been prevalent in a lot of Marvel movies recently. But all of those things I listed as flaws don't hold a candle to how much unapologetic fun I had with this movie. Ryan Reynolds and crew knew exactly what they were doing and delivered one of the most entertaining movie-going experiences in a while. Seeing these two characters banter back and forth is hilarious. Reynolds and Jackman have incredible chemistry. Seeing the MCU finally take the leap to rated R land, while a bit excessive at times, was absolutely glorious. And all the bits of fan service, from the cameos to the classic costume to the ending credits, just made my lizard brain happy. I know this movie is majorly flawed. In fact, it's not even the best Deadpool movie. But as a final swan song for the Fox Marvel universe, and the first of probably many integrations of this character, this was a fun fucking ride. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Speaking of movies I had an unapologetic blast at, I already put up my Sonic 3 quick review last week, so I'll try to keep this segment brief. But long story short, this movie was incredible. Even as a non-Sonic fan, the level of care they've put into this series has been staggering. And for hardcore fans, this movie gives you everything you've wanted to see. Unless you wanted to see a child get shot, then sorry about that. The action is incredible, the story is engaging and keeps its focus on Team Sonic. It has the right balance of hilarious humor and genuine heart and drama. The voice acting is great, the VFX are great, it's just an all-around great time. I'm glad to see it doing numbers, and I'm excited to see where they take this series next. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I know this was probably a case of too little too late, but god, I'm pissed that this didn't do better financially. I loved Fury Road for how much of a gorgeous thrill ride it is, but I found Furiosa to be a better movie overall. While it definitely wasn't as fast-paced and the music wasn't super memorable, it had a lot of great action scenes, beautiful visuals, solid performances, and an interesting backstory for a really badass character. The pace of this one allowed moments to breathe rather than just going 120 miles an hour with no pauses. And getting to actually know these characters and experience their struggles makes seeing them do cool shit all the more worth waiting for. It may not have been a hit at the box office, but it arrived in my top 10 list, shiny and chrome. The Wild Robot and Flow. Yeah, I know, I'm doing that annoying thing where I put two movies in the same slot, but I really had a hard time with these two. I love them both for completely different reasons. The Wild Robot is just absolutely beautiful. It brought me to tears. When I made my mom watch it, it brought her to tears. It manages to build off the framework of the book and change stuff around without straying away from the important arcs or themes. The story is lighthearted, but isn't afraid to get really rough. The animation is absolutely stunning, the characters are all wonderful, the voice actors are all pretty unrecognizable. It was all around a fantastic movie. Then we have Flow, which is what a lot of people were expecting Wild Robot to be. It's a simple story told with no dialogue about a group of animals whose home gets swept away by a giant flood, and they're all just traveling together trying to navigate their new environment. This movie looks and feels like an extended video game cutscene, which is a compliment, by the way. It looks like something out of Stray. The animation is very stylized and colorful, beautiful. The cinematography is very moving and gives off a good sense of scale. The music is very ethereal and atmospheric, and you get drawn into the emotion of what's going on without any talking, which is always super impressive. Both these movies are beautifully crafted, and both deserve a spot on this list. If I had to pick which one I liked more, it would have to be The Wild Robot. It just connected with me more on a personal level. But I'd still highly recommend watching Flow. Both movies are definitely worth your time. Dune Part 2. At the beginning of the year, this movie was a shining light in a sea of duds, and it did not disappoint. I know a lot of people, myself included, lobbied a lot of criticism towards Part 1 because it was very exposition heavy and was mainly just build-up. This movie is what makes that build-up worth it. Now that we know the mechanics of this world and we're invested in the characters and their journey, now we can see some action, and it's incredible. When Paul rides the sandworm for the first time, my jaw was on the floor. It looked and sounded amazing. The action throughout the movie is well shot and well performed. The final fights are epic and climactic, but it also doesn't skimp out on the character moments either. The acting is all top-notch, the writing is very tight. Despite this movie being almost 3 hours, it's very well paced, and it offered a very solid conclusion to this series. For a while, this movie was the #1 of the year. What managed to beat it? The Substance. This movie is mesmerizingly terrifying, disgustingly beautiful, delightfully off-putting, and all the other phrases I can use to say this movie is gross but gorgeous at the same time. The Substance is a hypnotic oxymoron in that it can be very uncomfortable, but you are unable to look away. The way that it's shot, mixed with the editing, the music, and the sound design, goes back and forth between being really sensual and nauseating. But it completely works for the tone the movie sets for itself. The premise is captivating. It's a nice cautionary tale that touches on things like body dysmorphia, insecurities about age, the corporate male gaze, the sacrifices made for beauty and youth, all in a visually stunning and utterly horrifying way. The performances from Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley are fantastic. Dennis Quaid is deliciously slimy. The practical effects are all outstanding. The twists and turns are insane. It definitely won't please everyone, especially if you have a weak stomach, but I'd recommend at least giving it a watch. It's grotesque, beautiful, funny, insane. It is the best movie of 2024. And there you go. That does it for this video and finishes off season 7. Let me know down in the comments. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? What were some of your favorite and least favorite movies of this year? Let me know all that stuff down below. And before I sign off, I do want to give another sincere, genuine thank you to everyone for watching my stuff this year and, you know, commenting and sharing your interactions and subscribing and all of that stuff. It really, really does mean the world. I know I say it so often that it's probably coming across as disingenuous, but honestly, like, this year more than ever, I have been so thankful to not just have these channels and have this outlet as a way to, you know, do creative and fun and things and express my opinions, but the fact that people, you know, watch and give a fuck, like whether they agree or in some cases strongly disagree, I just really appreciate that. Seriously, it means the world. Like I said in the last video, this year was pretty rough. For those of you that watched the Lego Movie video, I dedicated it to my grandpa who passed away at the start of this year, and to say that news like destroyed me would be a massive understatement. You know, he meant so much to me. A lot of people who have been subscribed for a while will know that he was in the very first video on this channel, which was, of all things, us talking about 50 Shades Freed. And I've always like gone back and forth in my head on like yeah, this is kind of weird to have a grandfather and his grandson talking about such a adult, like, sexual movie and everything like that. But ultimately I've always like been okay with it because for one, it's funny, and for two, it just means so much more to me now, like representing like that point of where I was in my life, and also having it represent sort of the birth of this channel and everything like that. You know, it holds a lot more significance to me now. And you know, that video was made when like around when I was like just starting high school. My grandma had passed away not too long before, and when my grandpa moved closer to us, it was kind of mutually decided that every week after I got off of school, I would come over and hang out with him and help him out with whatever he needed and everything. And that's what I did. You know, I would come over every week. I would help with whatever chores, like taking the trash out or getting the mail or everything. And then we would just like hang out and talk for like an hour on end at least, just about whatever. We would shoot the shit, talk about like what was going on at school, what movies I was seeing, politics, which was always very fun. And I don't think I really properly realized how important those moments were at the time. Like being able to have someone that you could go to and talk openly with and just not worry about like judgment or anything like that is just really cool. And going over to, you know, Zadie's house and just hanging out and talking, like it was a lot of fun, and it definitely helped me with a lot. And yeah, it really hurt to hear that he had passed away, just because he had meant so much. And that just kind of sadness fueled me for those first like few months of the year, and I put that fuel into my channel. And you know, I'm very grateful to have this outlet to, you know, be able to put myself out there and be able to like I said, do creative things, do what I want to do, share my thoughts on movies like and TV and other like random stupid shit, and just have fun. And the fact that the channel has come so far since then, and knowing that Zadie had played such a huge part in that, whether he intended to or not, it just it means a lot. It really does. So yeah, 2025, I'm going to hold on to that energy, and I'm going to keep creating. I'm going to keep making the stuff that I want to make, and I hope you guys will stick around, because I've got a lot of cool stuff that I want to do next year. So thank you guys so much again for another year on YouTube. I really appreciate you giving me your time. Like I said, whether you agree with what I have to say or not. Hope you guys have a happy and safe new year. And Zadie, I hope you're proud of me wherever you are. Thank you guys for watching. Have a happy new year. See you later.